This comment says there's physical evidence everywhere. Go look outside of all creation during the day and at night. When people give this classic look at the trees argument, it's an easy way to tell that they don't actually know what evidence is, and that they haven't practiced critical thinking to actually get to where they are in their belief. Because all this argument is doing is claiming God made trees and then telling you to look at the tree and somehow that is evidence that God made it. That literally proves nothing. I don't even know if you can call this circular reasoning, it's just no reasoning. It is quite literally like walking through a park and somebody saying, I planted that tree. And then when the person that they're talking to isn't convinced that they did plant that tree, they say, go look at it. That's proof. Seeing the tree is evidence that the tree exists, not how it came to exist. And I know the second step to this argument that Christians will often say is, well, but it's so complex. How could it exist if God didn't make it? But that argument purely comes from a state of ignorance. Just because you don't know how it came to be doesn't mean that the answer is God. And in fact, we have many fact-based explanations for how so many things exist. And no, we don't know how everything came to exist. But again, we do not need to know the answer for your answer to not be true. Those two things are not the same. An answer is not the answer. Let's say you don't know how construction works. So you see a new house that popped up on a previously empty lot, and you think, wow, how did that get there? I don't understand all of the inner workings of how this came to be, so it must be magic. Some super magical, powerful person out there must have snapped their fingers and made it appear. And then you're talking about this house with another person who says, no, actually, people constructed this building. And say this person understands construction exists, but they don't know the inner workings of all the things that go into building a house. And so you ask them, well, how do you have proof of that? Tell me all of the specific parts that go into building a house, how a person would do that. And that person replies with, well, I don't know all of the specifics, so I can't answer everything, but I can point to certain things and explain how that makes sense with somebody constructing the building. And I can explain some of it to you. But you think because they don't have every single part of it figured out and that they don't know everything, that not only is their answer completely null and void, but also they should believe your answer because you have it all figured out. You just left it up to the snap of the fingers of a magic person. And what's your evidence of that? Well, look, the building exists, so that must be how it happened. Say even after all of this, that person decides to show you a video from a professional explaining how a lot of the things go together, giving you specific examples and instructions on how. But because they're an expert in all of these other things but don't know everything about, say, plumbing, you again write them off because they don't have the answer for every single little thing.